Welcome, friends, to this episode of the Sync Your Life podcast. Today, I'm joined by my new friend, Jessica Frandson. She is the co-founder of Campo Beauty. We're going to dive into all things essential oils today. This is sort of new territory for me. I feel like probably everybody on the planet has more knowledge on this topic than I do. This is something that really I was introduced to a few years ago in a yoga practice. My yoga instructor asked if she could apply essential oils to our foreheads after the yoga session. And of course, we all were like, sure. And for whatever reason, it was a not pleasurable experience for me. It was something about the scent, something about it just did not resonate with me. And so it was never anything that I pursued. Fast forward a few years, and anytime I've dealt with migraine or anytime my kids have been sick, my friends who are into essential oils are always asking me like, oh, have you put thieves in the house? Oh, have you used lavender? Have you used peppermint oil? And I'm like, I don't know. Like I had a bad experience, right? So my experience tells me that I need to learn more about this, that this could be something that can benefit my health. And I actually interviewed Jessica's husband, Justin, on the topic of EMF a few weeks ago, and he mentioned that we should connect and we should chat. So I'm excited for this conversation today. I'm excited to learn more alongside all my listeners on the topic of essential oils. So without further ado, Jessica, I'd love for you to sort of introduce yourself, tell us about who you are and how you got to doing what you're doing.
Well, thank you so much for having me. So I got started, I'm basically a serial entrepreneur. I grew up in a very entrepreneurial family. My dad started an all-purpose non-toxic cleaning product called Simple Green in the 70s. So I was really immersed in that kind of thought process and just an inquisitive mind. And so anytime I would see something that I thought could be improved upon or bring more joy, I couldn't help myself and dive into it. So over the years, I've started a stationery store. I started another company called Twist Band, which was a hair tie that connected women of all ages. It was just literally a simple piece of elastic that didn't leave a dent or in your hair or your pony, it didn't damage your hair. So when it came to Campo, that came about very similarly. I was going back to visit my best friend from growing up, and she moved to Houston for love. And so I was getting settled in at her home, and she came in to check on me, and she saw my mini apothecary, laid out on the counter in my bathroom. And then I had my favorite perfume, and she goes, oh my gosh, I have the same perfume. And she goes, look at my apothecary. And she opens this cabinet, and it's like floor to ceiling with all these essential oils. So that night, as we're catching up, we were, talking about some of the needs that we were both experiencing, being moms, working, which, where we were fatigued, we were having trouble sleeping, our energy levels were lacking, sometimes that irritability, just all the things that, working moms and, just the daily, grind of life can bring. And so we started talking more about essential oils and how we both love them and, the benefits of them. But then we also started reimagining about how they could be different, how they could be more modern. And why did they have to be in the, back of the crunchy aisle of a health food store? Why couldn't they be in places that we shop on a daily basis? And why couldn't it be more beautiful? So we jokingly said, what if Tom Ford and Apple had an essential oil baby? What would that look like? It would be clean, modern, intuitive, have knockout healing powers, smell intoxicating, be jet set ready, meaning you can be very portable. You can take it to and from work, on the go, in and around your house. Delivery systems that are very intuitive, and also pre-blended. Because when I was visiting her, I had probably 4 or 5 bottles just to make, say, a sleep blend for myself or something to perk me up in the morning. And so that was the next thing we talked about, like, what do we really need in our lives? We felt like we needed more energy to get us up and cranking in the morning. We needed to laser and have focus in the middle of the day. We need something to help us relax at the end of the day or throughout the day, and then something to help us sleep, just knock us out. So that's what we launched the company, was on those 4 daily rituals. And so as we started that process, we really wanted to make sure that we had integrative ingredients. And, we were newbies to this. We had enjoyed them just personally, but we hadn't been in the industry per se. I did have a little bit of background from when I worked at Simple Green. I had the opportunity to launch a natural cleaning products line where I got to work with a fragrance house, and they started my journey in teaching me what the difference is between a fragrance and a scent. For the most part, when you hear the word fragrance, it's going to mean that it's full of synthetics. When you use the word scent, that's usually meant to be from nature. That's a general rule of thumb, but that's how we approach it. So as we started this journey, we didn't realize how challenging it really would be to go out and find these beautiful ingredients. We thought, oh, neroli, we want to use, and that was the other thing. We really wanted to bring people ingredients that they weren't used to experiencing. So, for example, neroli, that's the orange blossoms. So it takes about 1,000 pounds of orange blossoms to make 1 liter of neroli oil. And that's quite expensive. So for example, that would be, I don't know, about this big. That would cost somewhere in the neighborhood of $8,000. And it's kind of like a fine wine. Sometimes it'll be less, sometimes it'll be more, depending on the crops, the seasonality, and all that kind of thing. So we spent, I mean, what we thought would take, weeks, it took us probably about a year to source all of our ingredients from around the world. And that's how we came up with our name. And so Campo means field or countryside in Italian and Spanish. So we scour the globe to find all the most beautiful ingredients, and we bring them back here to the States where we blend them. And that's something else that we feel is really special about Campo. When we started our company about 5 years ago, really everybody was into single notes, meaning lavender, frankincense, just the individual scent. And that's where we thought, gosh, let's do our homework. Let's do the heavy lifting for people and research, what ingredients we need to make an energy blend, what ingredients we need to go into, the most powerful sleep blend, so that people don't have to, do all of that. And I think that, again, people would have these ARF experiences if they went into a Whole Foods or, a natural type of store. You need to get someone that was really educated and had the time, and wanted to sit there and educate you about what you may need and how that personally affected your journey. Or it was an app you're left on your own. You might leave the store with, hundreds of dollars of essential oils, but then you get home, you're like, now what do I do with it? Same goes for the MLM experience. And that's kind of, it's never been my comfort zone to go and either sell people or to be sold, especially in a friend type environment. And so we thought, gosh, let's take the stigma away from essentials, meaning either the hippy dippy or the hardcore sales, and let's make them just really approachable, really luxury, but approachable luxury, because we take all the most beautiful ingredients, no synthetics, no fillers, but because we do all the blending for you, you can get, $300 or $400 worth of oils for $45 in our 15 ml essential oil. So those are the things that we wanted to offer and make different about Campo when we started. That's the basics of it. And so we started with the daily rituals, which are energy, focus, relax, and sleep. And we felt if you walked up to anybody universally in the world and you said, do you need more energy? Do you need to focus? Do you need to relax? Do you need more sleep? Who could say no to those daily rituals?
Yeah, so good. And I think too, that one thing that I sense about you, even just from our previous conversation and today, is you have this ability to sort of see a need, right? See a need and then fill that need. It's funny because I always talk about this. My grandfather was an entrepreneur. He started a trucking company and lived to be 96 years old. And I remember when he was in his final year or two of life, we had a long conversation one day, and I said, Grandpa, what made you start a trucking company in this teeny tiny little town in southeastern Indiana? And he goes, I saw a need. He was like, I saw a need and I executed, right? And it's the same thing with you. I see the same thing. I mean, I'm passionate about hormone health, and I see this huge need for women to understand their bodies better. And so it draws us all out, right? Like people ask, like, how'd you become an entrepreneur? Well, I saw a need. So I love this. So I mean, I took so many notes already, just interesting things that you said about like scents versus fragrance and the different things that essential oils can help with. And I want to start very basic. So in case there's someone listening who maybe hasn't been introduced to this idea of essential oils, or maybe they've only been introduced through network marketing, which was my experience. I'd love to hear, what are they from a very basic level? And then also what types of things can they help with?
Sure. So an essential oil is really, it's just that. It's the essence of the plant, and it could be the leaves, the twigs, the flower, and it's the actual 100% oil, and it should be 100% natural oil from nature. So that's what an essential oil is. And there's two ways that we use to extract the oils from the plants. And this is universal as well. It's either steam distilled, so it's water and steam is used to extract the oils, and then the water is then extracted from the oil, and then you're left with 100% oil. Or there's a cold press, and oftentimes that'll be like with citrus, so it'll be the peels, and they'll press it, and then the oils will be extracted from the peel. So those are the two primary ways that you would get the essence of the oil, the pure essential oil, out of your plant twig, rind, and flower.
Gotcha. Okay. And so, I mean, I know over the past few years, like I said earlier, like different things will pop up for me, whether it's illness in the house or migraine headaches or whatever. And I have one friend in particular who's always like, okay, get out your diffuser and put this in there. And I'm like, girl, here's the thing. Like, and I usually just say, okay. And then I just move on, right? If I'm being totally transparent. But I'm interested in this, and I'm interested in diving deeper into this because I really resonate with the part of your story where you said the two of you were just feeling like you needed more focus, you needed more better sleep, you needed more relaxation. Yes to all of that for every woman that I've ever known, right? So here on the show, I talk a lot about how women wear a lot of hats, right? We're moms in some cases, we're wives in some cases, we're working corporate and we're careers, like we're doing all the things and juggling all the things. And a lot of times this sort of does get pushed to the back burner. This is why we see hormone issues creep up, you know, and eventually because women aren't taking the time to relax. They're not focusing on their sleep. They're not making themselves a priority. All of a sudden the check engine light starts flashing, as I like to say, and they don't know what's wrong, right? And sometimes I like to say too, it can sometimes be really quite simple, right? If I had $1 for every woman who comes to me and says, I don't know why I'm gaining weight, I don't know why I don't have any energy, and then I ask basic lifestyle questions about how, you know, what they're eating, how they're eating, if they're eating enough, are they sleeping? And I start to hear all these things like, oh, I'm probably not eating enough. I'm skipping this meal every day, and I'm only sleeping 4 hours a night. What if it really was as simple as focusing on your lifestyle, right? And so I'm not here to say, of course, we absolutely will not say anything about essential oils being a cure-all, but if it helps you relax and get into a better state of sleep, it's super important, right? So how about we address lifestyle factors as opposed to, you know, always going to a doctor looking for sort of a Band-Aid fix. So I want to talk about the different ways that essential oils can help, especially when it comes to like female related issues that we see creep up. Selfishly, we're going to start with migraine because that's my story. I just recently listened to an Andrew Huberman podcast. I love his podcast called Huberman Lab. If anybody hasn't listened to it, I'll link it up in the show notes. He does a lot of research and his episodes are very lengthy, like 2 to 3 hours. And recently he did one on migraine headaches. And I was blown away by the research behind peppermint oil for migraine. So let's start there. Like maybe peppermint oil, whatever else you want to throw in, like what can be used for migraine and how does it work?
So the two basic ways that you can experience is aromatherapy. So you've got your essential oils, and then I think people also hear these two words, and they are very commingled. You've got essential oils and aromatherapy. So aromatherapy is actually the process in which you experience essential oils. So the two main ways to experience essential oils that we promote is either dermally, like so it's absorption through your skin, and your skin's your largest organ. So that is like, it's almost immediate, really. I mean, it probably takes, you know, maybe a couple of 22 seconds I've read before that it seeps into your bloodstream, where it then will go in and start to affect your organs and your different systems. So that's one way, is topically. And one of the things we also want to make sure that we educate people about is that with an essential oil of 100% pure essential oil, you're going to want to dilute that when you're using it topically for absorption, because it's 100%. It's so potent. So you'll want to get a carrier oil. We have a beautiful carrier oil. We like to blend jojoba, melaseed. There's all these beautiful nourishing and healing properties. And the reason we have a beautiful blend is we wanted to have an extra beauty benefit. If you're doing it, why not have an extra little, you know, perk to it? So, but you can use anything. You can use olive oil, you could use, I mean, you can use your lip balm, but whenever you're applying essential oils, you want to make sure you have some kind of carrier oil. So that's number one. Number one, through the absorption of the skin. Number two would be inhalation. So you can either, again, you know, put it on your hands and then, you know, take some nice deep breaths, or you could diffuse it, which is a very wonderful passive way to experience essential oils. And you don't really have to do anything. It's just you're naturally breathing in the essential oils, that get broken down in these tiny little molecules that'll go up through your nose into your olfactory, which then connects to your brain, and it connects to the deepest and most, you know, your memory and emotion. So that's what another interesting part that we can talk about is the way that scent can trigger a response, a memory, or a feeling. And that can be a great thing. I mean, sometimes it can be a bad thing, meaning, you know, you can think about, like me when I was a child, we had a papaya tree in Hawaii that I would, you know, step through fermented papaya. To this day, I don't like papaya. But when you can start to train your brain to connect to fond memories and things that, you know, elevate you or relax you, so it can help you with that fight or flight response as well, which is really important when we talk about hormonal, you know, balance or imbalance, whatever the case may be. And then to circle back to headaches, my husband Jess has been having some really great success on a lot of levels with extreme cases of headaches from migraines to concussion headaches, the aftermath of a really serious concussion. And so after we developed our daily rituals, the next thing we talked about was, because when we started our journey with essentials, we did want to make it for the newbies. Like, let's just spoon feed people, make it as simple as possible. And from there, we can start to get more complex and layer in other ways to help heal people. So then the next thing we started with was our natural remedies. And we started from head to toe. What are the pain points that most people are feeling? So crown is the number one. So we developed crown. We also have breathe to help open up your chest. We have immune. And these are things that aren't necessarily a daily thing that you need. There's things that you can layer on as you have these kind of challenges in your life. But circling back to crown, again, getting back to how it connects, there's all of these nerves, and it helps to calm these nerves and stimulate these nerves. And that's how it's helping you to reduce those headache symptoms that you have. It sounds weird that it's firing those nerves, but it's reactivating them. And Justin speaks so elegantly to it, but again, there's that energetic property of the plants. It's almost like it's nourishing you from the inside. I know we think about vitamins and it's the same thing. You're getting some of the most beautiful benefits of the plant through that essential oil.
It makes total sense. I mean, I find myself often saying, like, what if everything we need is found in nature, right? I mean, it's so true. I mean, knowing what I know about nutrition, and then I actually just had a conversation this morning with a client who is experiencing these really weird things, right? And she's gone to her doctor, and of course her doctor has sent her down the specialty path and has sent her to like neurologists and all these crazy tests, and everything's coming back normal, right? And so she's like, what's going on? I'm like, well, have you ever met with a functional practitioner? Have you ever done any sort of like root cause testing, mineral deficiencies, nutrient deficiencies? Unfortunately, that's just not part of modern medicine care, right? So long story short, she messaged me today after 4 different appointments with a regular traditional doctor who told her everything's fine. You've gone down the specialty route. Everything's normal. Stop freaking out. She finally saw a functional doctor, and the functional doctor has picked up on vitamin D deficiency, vitamin B deficiency, right? And it's like, that could absolutely be the cause of your anxiety and your immunity issues and all the things that are going on, right? And so I just want to encourage people listening too, that like, if you're feeling high anxiety, if you're getting migraine headaches and those kinds of things, just know that they're not normal. And investigating things through root cause is so key. This is interesting because I have a peppermint oil roller. I have no idea. I think I was given it maybe 4 or 5 years ago. I've never used it, so I'm gonna have to try it next time I have a migraine. But I've done some reading too, just on different types of oils that are used for hormone balance. And one article that came up for me was from Dr. Axe. I follow him a lot as well. And he talks about these three different oils that can be used in helping balance hormones, especially as women are navigating things like perimenopause and beyond. He talks about clary sage oil, thyme oil, and sandalwood oil. So it's interesting because it sounds to me like there's just this world of, obviously if it's plant derived, there is a world out there of different types. What would you have to say about like perimenopausal era, right? Like when women are sort of in maybe like late 30s, early 40s, they're starting to experience this sort of, energy decline and all that sort of things. Like what types of things could help in that situation?
So I actually did I circled back for you as well, because I thought we would get to this place. And our relaxed blend happens to have the ones that in addition to the ones that you're speaking of, peppermint's also one that's listed, but frankincense, lavender, and rosemary came up big for when I was doing my research. And most of them, I think lavender, I'll go back real quick and check my notes, but lavender and rosemary, I think, were helpful in the cortisol levels, which is huge for women when you're going through that phase, hot flashes, irritability, those types of things. And so, at the basis of it, when I was thinking about, and for myself too, because I've experienced hormone imbalance and a lot of the things you're talking about with your friend in terms of, why am I feeling off, and then getting the right vitamins, I think in general, it comes down to, and we all know this, it's a healthy lifestyle. And what are the things that we can do to reduce that fight or flight that comes up in us throughout the day, on a daily basis? We all have these buckets, right? And there's some days, months where they're all flowing, they're overflowing, they're perfect, right? Our love bucket, our finance bucket, work, family, relationships, everything's just you're like, oh my gosh, I just want to freeze this moment in time. And then, some buckets get lower, some are overflowing, and then you have to run over and fill that bucket up. And so when we can introduce things into our life, whether it's as simple as some kind of nutrient that we can take, a vitamin, or if it's an essential oil that is it's such an easy and it's such a beautiful ritual, right? This isn't like taking something like, oh, I gotta plug my nose and like take a swig of this. This is actually something that is so enjoyable. And this is another piece that I didn't touch on when we first started the company. One of the things that was so important to us was the power of scent, and we wanted everything to smell absolutely intoxicating. So I actually went and learned how to make perfume, because growing up in Laguna Beach, my mom was a little hippie. And, I remember the scent of patchouli oil. And, it took me a long time to figure out that, oh my gosh, it's actually beautiful patchouli. And you don't need a lot, you need just a smidge, but it's so beautiful and powerful when blended and used the right way. And so for us, we've created all of these most incredible blends that smell beautiful, that is a treat for you. It's actually a treat to take, and I actually have a ritual that I can share with you. It's called the Infinity Ritual, that anybody can do. And it really taps into your breath, which is your life force. And so if you do these small things, these small acts that you deserve, like we all need to understand that we deserve to feel good. We deserve to be happy. We deserve to feel joy on a daily basis. And you can do it even when you're in hardship. Like there's a way to still feel joy and feel good, even when things aren't in perfect alignment. So that's what makes, in my opinion, essential oils so special, is that it's just a really beautiful, simple act that you can do passively with a diffuser. You can literally use one of our roll-ons. It's pre-blended. It's portable. It can fit in your pocket. You can keep it in the car. And then I even have a ritual that you can do. We recommend it with essential oils, but at the end of the day, it's tapping into your breath, your life force, and taking those moments to just literally step away from the computer. And so this infinity ritual that we have, so the infinity sign is like the symbol of the 8. So we've made everything in 8s to make it really simple to remember. So you would start with the palm of your hand. Well, first we would start with an intention, because again, getting back to those buckets, we all are like, oh my gosh, it might be a stage of life where you're like, oh my gosh, I'm dating, my heart's hurting, I want love, I want marriage, I want children, I want all these things that I see people around me having. Or it could be, oh my gosh, I have marriage and children, but now it's finances. How do I pay for everything? I'm so stressed out and I'm running from everything. I'm not even enjoying life because I'm just, literally running in heels or running with scissors, trying to wrap a package and get to carpool. So whatever that case may be, let's say, for example, you're just thinking, gosh, if I had $1 million right now, my life would be perfect. It's not the $1 million. It's the feeling. What would that feeling of $1 million bring you? Is it freedom? Is it that you could be lying on a beach in Hawaii and the smell of the ocean breeze and the palm trees and the plumeria? And is it, you'd be up in the mountains walking through the woods? What is that feeling that evokes? And that's kind of circling back to essential oils, is that you can connect this power of scent and transport yourself to another place, in addition to the medicinal qualities that the plant oils are in plant medicine are helping you to restore your body. So with this ritual, first set your intention. So whether it's love, whatever the case may be, and then you would take either a roll-on. So for those, if we have this going, we have it pre-blended. You take the roll-on and you just make the infinity sign in the palm of your hand 8 times. If you don't have a roll-on, you could take a carrier oil, put a few drops, and then a few drops of your pure oil. Do the infinity sign with your finger. So you're just starting to set that intention, and then your body starts to react to that, right? It's starting to calm down. And then you would rub your hands together 8 times to activate the oils. And then you would stop and you would cup your hands and put it over your eyes, nose, and mouth. And you breathe in for 8 seconds and then exhale for 8 seconds. And you do this 8 times. And after you do that, you can literally feel the chi, the energy in your hands start to activate and tingle. You can feel your body just start to calm down, and that fight or flight starts to take away. And then whatever the thing that you're manifesting, you're connecting that scent to that part of your brain. And then the next time you just do that infinity sign and you take these deep breaths with that scent, your body starts to remember that over and over. And then it can get to a place where you just either smell it and you get that feeling, your body's starting to feel, because your brain doesn't know the difference between reality and imagination. So we can trick ourselves to be happy, literally.
Yeah, I always say that if we can perceive stress, we can also perceive relaxation, right? We can train the brain, right? Yeah, that's great. I love that. I actually, my yoga instructor, my dear friend Jen, I had her on the podcast, one of my very first interviews, because she was actually ironically the same person who introduced me to functional wellness and hormone health a dozen years ago. But she is a guru with like breath work. And so everything you just said sounds exactly like what she teaches, right? Just, but I love the incorporation of the oils and the scents, and sort of, it makes sense to me that it would retrain your brain because you're kind of connecting it to a smell, right? I did an interview several episodes ago with Lily Carell, who's a therapist, trauma therapist, and she talks about this study that was done on mice when they were exposed to the scent of cherry blossom. It has to do with something unrelated, but I'll share this piece of it. She talks about how when the mice were exposed to the scent of cherry blossom and then given electric shock, it only took 2 to 3 times for the mice to associate cherry blossom scent with trauma. So the 4th time that they presented cherry blossom, basically the mice freaked out on a neurological level without even having to have the shock, right? So she goes on to talk about how the study is pretty cool because they did the same study on the offspring of those mice. So they took the babies of those mice, they exposed them to cherry blossom scent without any electric shock, and those mice also had the same neurological reaction. So that the whole podcast episode was on inherited traumas and that kind of stuff. But the same thing is true here because we're talking about sense. We're talking about associations. We're talking about training the brain, right? And so the coolest part though of that study was that the researchers were also able to prove that over time the brain could be retrained. So they could start to expose those mice and the offspring to cherry blossom with a positive association, and the mice brains were able to be retrained, which is really cool. So everything you just said makes total sense to me as far as how it can help. I love that infinity ritual. I'll make sure to type that out and make some notes for people in the show notes if they wanted to follow that on their own as well. I want to kind of talk a little bit more about sleep. I mean, we've kind of alluded to relaxation and how these oils can help with that, but this is something that if I had to say the number one issue that I hear from women, it is sleep, especially in those perimenopausal years. You kind of alluded to adrenals and cortisol. We know that our adrenals start to take over more sex hormone production as we get older, and so they start to become a little bit more taxed. Sleep can be affected, right? Everything starts to go crazy. So I'd love to know, I know you have a sleep blend, so I'd love for you to talk about that, but I'd also love for you to share, are you using that sleep blend? What are you doing to help your own sleep? I know obviously your husband is into, like, we talked about EMF and sleep, so this is probably a topic that you talk about often, but I'd love to hear more on this.
Well, I mean, I am so blessed now. I am the best sleeper, and that was never when I was in my youth and probably in my 20s. I could go to bed really easily, and then I would say probably starting my 30s, once life got a little more tricky. Man, if something woke me up in the middle of the night, I would just spin. I would be thinking about planning birthday parties and paying bills and whatever the case may be. So I am so excited to share this information with you all because in addition to just the pure essential oils, it's really it's about having a ritual. It's about having a wind down ritual, and getting back to the infinity ritual that we recommend you do it 8 times a day. So basically, wake up, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and in between meals. So it probably will take you 2 minutes. And my other wish for you is if you step outside when you do this, so you get some vitamin D and you're getting away from all the electronics in your office or home or wherever the case may be. But getting back to your sleep ritual, it's so important. And I had the privilege of also speaking with some experts about this. And it comes back to even just like the amount of television, all the forces that are coming at you. You need a little bit of time before you hit that bed so that your body's like, oh, I'm supposed to sleep here. I'm not supposed to read books or get on my laptop or watch a movie. And that's okay to do those things, but before bed you should create a ritual of 5 to 10 minutes where it's just like, people used to light candles with it. Now you can use a diffuser, which is totally passive and actually has, our beautiful diffusers have them up here. They have a little night light, so there's 2 modes there. So you can literally, instead of having a candle in, it has an auto shut off. So it will run for about 5 hours, and you can just literally go to bed and get your beauty rest. So what we recommend is obviously using our sleep blend, which we have. It has Palmarosa, and when we go to research a blend, We look at it like a funnel. We research all the potential essential oils that could have benefits of sleep. Same with energy when we look at any blend. So we looked at all the things that potentially could be a wonderful aid in helping you not only get to sleep, but stay asleep. So lavender is obviously one of them. We looked at palmarosa, which is another beautiful one. We have valerian root, which, oh my gosh, when I smelled that for the first time, it almost knocked me off my feet. It's the stinkiest thing that you've ever smelled in your life. But we blended it in such a way it's like mixing vegetables in, so your children don't know that they're eating zucchini in their, muffin or what have you. So we've got all of these beautiful ingredients that are just absolutely, they smell beautiful, they're calming, they're nurturing, and it will literally sedate you and keep you out. But a big part of that is creating that ritual for yourself. And we all deserve that. And I think we run around and we don't realize just carving out that extra 5 minutes to wind yourself down. When people take time now to wash their face and do, brush your teeth, take that extra 5 minutes just to get your, like a little cocoon for yourself. Make sure that your room is dark. That makes a huge difference. For most of my life, I had like basically shears in my bedroom. I thought that was great and cool. But what I really found out from talking to experts is you really need to create that sense of darkness so that your body can really get to that deep REM sleep. And if you don't, then your body can't rest and restore. And so with sleep, there's so many amazing benefits of a proper night's sleep. I mean, cellular renewal. So not only from a, important in your organs and all of your systems, but from a vanity point of view, you're literally, you can help your skin restore itself. And that's the other beautiful part about having the diffuser. It's actually like a mini humidifier next to your bed. So you're getting these little micro drops of water that are just, hitting your face. It's super soothing. Obviously you don't feel the wetness of it, but it's like another added layer of this humidifier in your bedroom. And again, it helps when you have the proper sleep. It's helping with your cortisol levels. It helps with weight maintenance, with irritability the next day because you're waking up feeling rested and restored. So it's just amazing. And then personally, what we do in our home that I think has been another just next level game changer is turning off the router. Because when I look back when I was a child, we didn't have coffee makers and refrigerators and Wi-Fi that were speaking to us all day, all day and all night. And you don't realize that your body, we're all just, these bundles of energy, and it's wanting to wake us up. And so our bodies are never getting, again, back into that deep REM sleep state, which is super, super important. That's when the healing and the really restorative part of your sleep comes in. So it's so simple. You can literally get a timer, like your Christmas tree timer at, any hardware store, and you just connect that to your router. And, there's, even if you turn it off from midnight to 5 a.m., give your body 5 hours of just stillness. So those are the things. I mean, having the ritual of winding down, using your essential oil. And the other thing I didn't mention is the pulse points, where to apply the essential oils. It's usually pretty intuitive, but it's right here on your crown, near your temples, and then behind your ear, your occiput, and then your wrist, behind your knee, and then the bottoms of your feet are another exceptional place to put essential oils, because your feet are one of your biggest absorption points, and that really can get into your bloodstream right away. So before bed, you could take some essential oils, pat the bottoms of your feet, again, do the ritual, take those nice deep breaths, and it really just calms yourself. You can, in that moment, you can think about, what takes you to that just most peaceful place, whether it's, again, lying on a beach, or, your favorite, it could be a river where you just drift off, have great naps. But just take your place yourself where you can just wash away all the day and, set that intention that you deserve this proper night's sleep, and that it's just, it's really a gift that you're giving yourself.
Yeah. So what you're telling me is that, we should ditch all the candles and instead do diffusers, right? I got rid of candles actually a couple of years ago because of the estrogenic traits of candles. But I find, if you would have seen the line at like Bath and Body Works at Christmas time of people who are lining up for candles and fragrances and all these things that are artificial, that are highly estrogenic, right? They're toxic to your body. If I'm just being point blank, if you're someone listening to this and you're a candle person, right? If you're somebody who's into that, perhaps consider switching to something more like essential oils for not only the health benefits, but sounds to me like they can smell pretty yummy as well. I did some searching. I was thinking about, okay, what types of things do my listeners struggle with? Like sleep is by far number one, which we just addressed. We addressed migraine headaches, which I think is pretty common in women, especially. I also hear questions about things like menstrual pain and PMS and that kind of thing, which I have to assume that the Relax blend could help with. But I was doing some initial research on this and I saw things like lavender, cinnamon, rose, like those types of things can really be helpful for things like period pain as well. So if you're listening to this, I guess my point here is that no matter what you're struggling with, whether it is just ultimately relaxation and anxiety or sleep related issues, digging a little bit deeper into this topic and maybe trying these Campo Beauty essential oils can be beneficial to you. One question that I wanted to ask is, if you had to tell somebody like the best first step to take, right? Like, do you guys have like a starter pack? Like what is the best first thing for someone to do?
Well, that's what I would say, the daily rituals, and that's why we founded the company, because we feel like if you get through your day with the energy, focus, relax, and sleep, it just sets you up for success, and you just keep doing those same rituals throughout the day. So that would be our recommendation. And again, you can either use it through a diffuser. We have 3 delivery systems. We have the pure essential oil, which is just 100% of the blend. So if it's energy, it has neroli, it has a little frankincense, it has, sweet orange. So, but it's still 100% a pure essential oil. It's just several different ingredients of the essential oil. And then it's also available in a roll-on, which is pre-blended with jojoba and all the beautiful carrier oils, which the roll-ons are awesome little multitaskers. In addition to just the breath work and inhaling the essential oils and letting it get into your bloodstream and take effect, you can literally like dab it under your eyes, for a little moisturizer, ends of your hair, your cuticles. It's just a beautiful little multitasker, and they smell beautiful. And another big difference, just to highlight, between scent and fragrance, circling back to that, sometimes people say, oh my gosh, well, I love the scent of your energy because it's beautiful. It's got bergamot and neroli, it's really lovely. But the complaint will be, but it fades, the scent fades. And I'm like, well, that's what it should do. You buy organic strawberries, do they last for a month? No, after a couple of days, they look, pretty shriveled up and not so good. And that's, so anytime you're going to buy something or get something from nature, and the healing benefits and the healing resonance of anything that's natural, your body is just going to absorb and respond to you better. And so when we talk about candles, when we talk about all these other things, they are chock full of synthetics, and those are endocrine disruptors. And again, I was a candle lover, and I'm not saying, you can't, use them with caution and what have you, but, and then the other beautiful part about having diffusers, it has auto shut off. You don't have to worry about having children around. So especially when those baby making and, the children of, younger ages, it's a nice safety issue to not worry about, or a pet knocking it over. It's very safe.
Yeah. Well, in looking at the different types of things that you guys have, because you have a whole bunch of things, I noticed there's like a mama essential oil, which I think it says it's for like stretched skin and that type of thing. There's also a detox formulation. I'm always talking to my women about estrogen detoxification and then liver detoxification and all that kind of stuff. So it sounds to me like you guys have done a really great job of really helping people understand what the different oils are for and what they can be used for. So highly recommend anybody listening to this. I'll make sure to link up in the show notes all of the links and all the information so that you guys can go research it yourself and see what might work for you. But I know for me, it's inspiring me to start this journey of just being okay with something I'm not sure about, right? Like, and it's funny because even in my own story, right, I talk about how I was willing to do any pharmaceutical to get rid of the migraine pain. But I thought when people would talk to me about things like oils or food or nutrition or supplements, I was like, okay, crazy. Like I was the person who was so skeptical. Now I'm the polar opposite. I was just in the urgent care recently for a bug that was going around in my family. And I went to the urgent care because I actually thought maybe there was appendicitis involved because I was having such bad stomach pain. And I was the girl at the urgent care that was like refusing the medication. I was like, I just want to make sure that it's not appendicitis. I'm not here for the drugs. I'm here for everything. So I'm now like the polar opposite. And now I believe that everything we should be putting in and on our bodies should be from nature, right? Whether that's essential oils, lotions, food, the food that we're eating, the supplements that we're taking. That doesn't mean that there's not a place for modern medicine. That doesn't mean that we don't sometimes need those things. It's just that why not try it, right? If it's from nature, what is the harm in trying it? Okay. Any last thoughts? Any other thoughts, especially for my women listening, that maybe we haven't covered?
Well, one other thing I just want to touch on that I'm excited about, you just mentioned about our Mama collection, is that we've been working and partnering with Hope Hospital. And what's really exciting about that, we've done about, I guess this will be our project with them. The first one was they opened in Foothill Ranch a wellness facility, which integrated everything from pediatrics, orthopedic, wellness, all kinds of recovery. And they gave us a huge space there to do aromatherapy walls, so people can go in and experience and start to understand what aromatherapy is. Then from there, they opened up a thing called Flywell at John Wayne Airport, so that people traveling, because we also have a blend called Flight for jet lag and jitters, just to help ease people, because that's a huge pain point for many people, is the fear of flying. And then the next project that came along that was really wonderful. So kind of getting back to essential oils and the woohoo piece of it, and people, is it real? Is it, what is this? Is that we feel really grateful that we have the support of Hope Hospital endorsing us as a real way to reimagine medicine and healing and wellness. And so the next project we worked on was they wanted to reimagine giving birth. And so it was literally 12 suites. It looked like you were checking into the Four Seasons, chandeliers. You didn't see any medical equipment. It was all hidden behind wood paneling. They thought about the whole family, what the father's needs would be, rain showers. And so they had us come up with a ritual if people wanted to incorporate aromatherapy in their birth plan. So that was like such an honor and such a privilege to think that we are helping to bring new life into this world. And so we created a ritual called RBR, which is relax, breathe, receive. And there's this protocol that goes with them, and the nurse can help them experience that if that's something that they want to incorporate. And it doesn't mean you have to go 100% natural. You can still have the rest of your birth plan, but it's just another way to help ease you into that whole process. And along with that, we have the mama belly oil to help with any, stretch marks or the itchiness of the belly. And that all came about from a business partner, because she was pregnant with twins, before we even started Campo, but she had a little journal where she made her own recipe. So that came full circle, and she doesn't have one stretch mark, or, it really just nourished her whole belly. And then the last thing we're working on with Hogue, which is very exciting, and then I'll have more, just having more of the research and the science to back it, is we are working to explore on a study about using essential oils pre-surgery to help relieve the anxiety of surgery, because so many people, they're absolutely terrified. So if you can, get your body out of that fight or flight before, as you're going into this operation, that'll be helpful. And then nausea, helping with nausea. So we're looking at working with lavender, peppermint for nausea, and then frankincense for post with pain management. So I'm really excited to get the findings of that. We already are seeing and feeling it, but we're going to have a really beautiful study where we can say, oh my gosh, we had this many patients, this is what they experienced, did they even want it? And so far as this study's going, 100% of people want the essential oils. It's like, why not? It smells beautiful. And if it can help give me a benefit along this whole, journey, why would I not try it? So that's, the most recent thing that we're working on that we think is really special about Campo.
That's really cool. So it's created by women for women in so many ways. That's so cool. Well, I've loved talking to you today. I think this is all really great information, maybe in some ways very basic, but I think this can help my listeners with kind of venturing down this path along with me. If you follow me on social media, I'll be talking about the different things that I'm going to be trying. I've already been scouring the Campo Beauty website to see what I want to start with. But yeah, if you've only been exposed to essential oils through a network marketing opportunity, or if you've had an icky experience with it, I encourage you to dig deeper into Campo Beauty and see if this is something that you want to check out yourself. So before we wrap up, any last thoughts, or where do you want to send people to? Where can people read more about the product? Give us all the information.
Great, wonderful. So our website is campobeauty.com. And you can also follow us on Instagram or any of the social media channels, which is Campo Beauty. And we really chose to sell our product when we didn't want to do the direct to consumer MLM. So you'll find us at places like Saks Fifth Avenue, high-end spas, specialty boutiques, things of that nature. Just places where people are comfortable shopping, and it's not like a pressure cooker type of thing. But when you go to our website, we have something that I think is pretty special. Our real goal this year is to really enhance the experience on our website in terms of education. And so we have an area called our ingredient field. So you can look at any of the ingredients that we have on any of our products, and it'll give it, we kind of wanted to make it a little more digestible, not like this huge run-on, which can be overwhelming. So it's kind of like if Vogue did an essential oil library. There's lots of pictures and graphics and quotes that'll get you, and then you're like, oh, I'm interested in that. I want to dive a little deeper. So that's our process right now, is trying to educate people that might be in the beginning of their journey, and how can we help them start to understand and digest it. And then now we'll start to even increase more of the nitty gritty types of information that people might want, boost the blogs and things of that nature. But right now there's, I think, some really good basic information on the website, and you can always send us an email at hello@Campo Beauty and we'll get right back to you.
Awesome. Well, as usual, you guys, I'll make sure to link all of this up in the show notes so that all you have to do is swipe up to have all these links and all this information at your fingertips. Thank you so much, Jessica, for spending time with us today. I'm grateful for our new friendship. I'm grateful that our paths have crossed. I'm excited for this episode to launch. I'm excited for people to learn more about essential oils. I know from a hormone health perspective, there's so much here to be learned for myself and for others. So thank you for taking time out of your day, for sharing your knowledge and expertise, and for really just serving a need in the world. This is needed. I love what you're doing specifically for women. I just want to say thank you for that.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm so grateful. Really, thank you so much.
Awesome. Well, take care, my friend. We'll talk soon.
Okay, bye-bye.